Well, alrighty, and welcome back to Chat with Me. I'm Eddie Bowers, and I'm the one that keeps rambling on this podcast. So, been a little under the weather. Voice has been very crackly and everything. I think, in all honesty, it still isn't perfect, but I know it's been a minute, and I figured, oh hey, I can kind of talk again. So let me jump back into some things. So if you guys hear me clearing my throat and everything, I do apologize for that. But I'm still kind of on the toxic traits series right now. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying this, but if not, why are you back? Oh no, I'm joking. I'm joking. But yeah, so the toxic traits and going through some of those and how how amazing this little series has been for me because I keep finding areas for improvement in myself. And this one here kind of it hurts, y'all. It hurts, but one thing that people view as a toxic trait is now hear me out. I'm not this, but sometimes I squeak closer and closer. But being overly competitive, oh man, I will admit I can be competitive, and sometimes I can be overly competitive. So it's not that I'm always just a toxic person because I'm competitive. It's when I start to get overly competitive that I start becoming more toxic. So I really have to put myself into check, you know. Typically, I view myself as a relatively humble person. But oh man, there's sometimes where I start getting competitive, and then I start to get overly competitive, and people give me this look like, who the hell is this kid? So, but honestly, one of the main roads leading towards arrogance is an intense competitive streak. You know, while it's not really a bad thing or unhealthy, having being competitive, having that competitive side to you can sometimes cause friction with your interactions. It can, again, it can cause people to kind of pull away, you know. So for me, I really have to put that in check a lot. So, but if especially if you take things too far, you can become that type of person that many people, or whether they're your friends or new people that you meet, you know, um, they'll just find it kind of hard to relate to you. You know, um, you're also more likely to fall under that spell of perfectionism, and then struggle, to function. When you fall into those failures. One of the things, failures aren't always a bad thing as long as you're failing forward. But I do for a regular job. I do sales. I work for a company, and we do phone sales. And it's like, we have the sales boards. We've got all the programs to chat with each other, and I'll log in. I'll start making my phone calls, and it's like, oh, okay, so and so they made a sale. Okay, good. Mine's coming. And then another one. Okay, great. I can do it again. And the next thing you know, everybody else is making sales, and I'm sitting here leaving messages for people, and I start getting frustrated because I'm like, oh, and then that competitive nature starts kicking in, and then it starts to get, again, sorry for the voice, y'all. It starts to get to a point where I start getting irritated and upset. And it changes from, well, Eddie, you need to make sure you're doing your calls right, but it switches to, I've got to beat them. And that's when I've got to recognize I'm starting to get overly competitive. I start you know looking at the lack of sales as a failure. I start to view myself as a failure, and it is horrible, horrible. So I got to put myself into check when I notice I'm becoming overly competitive, because like I said, I don't think that having a competitive nature is a bad thing. I think men and women alike, they should be a bit competitive in areas. of life, and even in work, or jujitsu, or sports. Have a competitive edge. Just don't let it become this overly competitive to where you're instead of celebrating others' victories, you're getting negative about other people's victories because you're not having that victory, small, large, or whatever. So just my little thing on me, looking at this and realizing, you've gotten a little too competitive in these areas, Eddie. Let's tone it down. Let's put ourselves in check. What is it that be happy for them, feed off of their success in a positive way, and don't get jealous. Don't get jealous because they're doing better than you. You got to figure out, Eddie, what you're doing wrong, or what you could do better. Which jealousy, that's another fun toxic trait. When you feel jealous, you believe your enjoyment or possession of something is coming under threat from a third party. Now this one could go a lot of different ways. Jealousy with a partner, things like that. I probably don't even need to talk about this one much because I think we've all been in a situation where we've been jealous, and it has gotten to a toxic level. You start to resent someone, from gaining what you already have, or what you want. Like the example I talked about earlier with my job, starting to get overly competitive, things like that. When I look at it, it's because I'm getting jealous that these other people are making more sales than me, and then I start making mistakes. But it's definitely jealousy, I think, is more of a toxic trait than my competitiveness. But not that I'm an overall jealous person, but yeah, when I'm realizing other people are making more sales, or they're doing a little bit better, if I don't put myself into check, I will start to become very overly competitive, and then I become a bit jealous, So it's weird how going through this, and it maybe I'm being a little hard on myself, but I am doing everything I can to just do better and better every single day, that when I feel myself getting jealous, I put myself into check and I reassess the situation. When I realize I'm getting overly competitive, I put myself into check and I start to reevaluate, what is the real issue. And I'm sure that, I could go on for hours about that as well, but that's really not the point of what I'm trying to talk about here. It's just going over some of the traits. As I've read up on these, I realize I had some, I realize I get close to the boundary, that little line that's like, okay, now you're starting to get a little toxic, Eddie. So, but yeah, with jealousy, jealousy, jealousy. Man. Again, with jealousy, you start to resent someone else from gaining, what you already have or want. And this can completely change itself into, spiteful attempts to deny them access. I've seen it before at work. People see somebody getting a promotion. They get jealous that, Ted got the promotion or Mary got the promotion and they didn't. So then they start to do little things to try and sabotage them or stop them from succeeding. It's crazy, And I could say with my jealousy, I guess my jealousy more borders on envy, Although I'll admit, there are some people, like heck, I'll say it. I am so jealous of Ryan Reynolds and his abs. Jiminy. But obviously I'm not. Honestly, that's a joke. I mean, he's a good-looking dude and all, but that's more envious. But yeah. Anyway, I'm rambling on that one. But yeah, jealousy. Yeah, I'm repeating myself. But jealousy is a very, very toxic thing in my opinion. You make a lot of assumptions, and then you start just destroying things, and I think there's healthy forms of envy in my opinion. I mean, envy, you don't really begrudge someone else's enjoyment. You don't begrudge for them for their success. You want to experience it. And that's kind of my joke with Ryan Reynolds and his abs. I want to experience having abs like that. I mean, there's a lot of workout guys and actors and models and stuff, males, and I'm just like, dang, I'm 44 years old. Could I do that? I could look like that. I would love to look like, that's more envy than jealousy. But even with that, it can, in my opinion, sometimes envy can start turning into jealousy, and it can go south really quick. So you just got to keep putting yourself into check when you feel these things starting to stir up in you. You've got to put them in check, realize what's really going on, and make the necessary changes, So, but again, I think I did a podcast on comparing yourself to others. If you start to feel envious, or you think you're feeling jealous over somebody, go back, refocus on, are you comparing yourself to others in a positive way or a negative way? Again, there's a lot of things that are healthy, and obviously there's probably an equal amount of things that are unhealthy, and those lines between the two are very thin a lot of the times. So you've really got to sit there and do a lot of self-reflection and say, hey, am I being jealous, or am I just, do I just have envy? Am I being envious? And even within that, is it healthy for me? Is it healthy for the people that I am around? And if it is, well, good, you're doing great. If it's not, now it's time to pause. It's time to take a breather. It's time to look into this and figure out what you need to change. Now, if you have other people in your life that are jealous of you, or they're being overly competitive with you, you've got to determine, can you live a happy life with those people involved in your life? Can you have a conversation with them? The people that are jealous of the things that you're doing and the things that you have, and it's become toxic and negative. Can you have a conversation with them and help them? Maybe show them how you did things. Help them reach their goals. That way they're no longer jealous. There's a million things. I can't talk about them all. I mean, I probably could, but you guys would fall asleep. Those would be some long podcasts. But even overly competitive. If I notice a person around me is getting a bit too competitive with me, I'm just like, I just try to have a conversation with them. I start letting them know the things that they're doing good, that they're doing better than me. I help them see their victories. I mean, I do my best too. I'm not perfect, but I try to help them see, again, their victories, so they can see where they're doing better, so that they can have some healthy pride in the things that they're doing. A lot of times, especially with me, really, I don't see a lot of my victories. I literally have to sit down every night and think, okay, where was my victory today? And I'll use the example, with work, for instance. Again, I'm in sales, and I ain't that great at it. I'm better than others, but I'm not as good as others, So when I start to feel like, oh, crud, Eddie, you were getting overly competitive. I don't have these literal conversations in my head, but, I think about my day and everything, and I'm just like, what the heck? Everybody did so much better than me. And then I started getting mad, and I'm going to beat them tomorrow, and da-da-da-da. And I realized there are days where I didn't celebrate other people's victories. I gotta put myself in check. And a lot of the ways that I do that is I gotta find my victories. And so that helps me when some of my coworkers start to get overly competitive. They start throwing out the insults to either others or themselves. So I'm just like, hey, no, man. I mean, today you made 200 calls. Yeah, but no sales, Eddie. You made 3 sales. Okay, yeah, no, that's cool. Tomorrow I'm going to beat you. Yeah, dude, best of luck, man. I hope you do. I just hope tomorrow I can do as many calls as you did. I start to let them know about their victories in the hopes that they'll start to see them. And like I was saying, I'll sit down at night and I'll speak out what I did good that day, my victories and things like that, to help calm. And when I do those things, I found the next day, I don't get as jealous. I don't get as overly competitive. So it's a habit, I don't do it every single day. I just notice that there are times when these things happen with me, and I do little itty bitty exercises, if you will, then my next day's better. Especially if I do them at night, like before I go to bed. Rethink my day, find my victories, even say my victories out loud sometimes. Sometimes I can just quietly sit there and be like, oh yeah, no, I hit my stats today. I exceeded this stat. I know I didn't get any sales, but the sales will come. But yeah, I did. Look, Eddie. Those areas you did really good. You exceeded. You did better today than you did yesterday in these areas. And that helps me. I'm not saying it's going to help everybody. It's just little rambles, again, and things that I do for myself that help me in some areas. And like I said, with the jealousy thing, I am not an overly jealous person. I have been in the past. I nowadays can recognize some of the signs. Not all of them. Sometimes it's like, oh crap. Yep. I am definitely jealous now. And so I do some things like I'll sit down, I'll rethink, find out why. But that one's not as often as overly competitive, just being honest. So, again, it's just a matter of recognizing what is toxic, recognizing what is healthy, and understanding that thin line between the two, and recognizing when you start to cross that line. Me personally, I'd prefer to realize I'm getting close to that line. So, but it's all, there's no cookie cutter way of saying, hey, this is exactly how to recognize it, because a lot of times we're just being fun and, or having a little bit of competitive nature to things. And some people take it as overly competitive, So if they get upset, you just have that conversation. Hey, I didn't mean to, I was this, and this really was the intent, and my apologies. Now, don't become an over-apologizer, of course, but, I'm just summing up maybe a 10-minute conversation in a few words, But again, the whole point of this toxic trait isn't to make you feel like you are a toxic person. It's to just help identify some things that maybe you didn't know, and also maybe you didn't recognize in yourself, or you didn't recognize in some of the people that you hang out with, because a lot of times the people we hang out with, they rub off on us, and we pick up some of their traits, good, bad, and indifferent traits. So, but yeah, so I mean that's just kind of, like I said, two little things that kept coming, popping up when I was looking up, what are some toxic traits, being overly competitive and jealousy. Again, I'm just hoping that what I say and in these podcasts kind of, makes you think. And hey, it could make you realize you've got changes to make, or I'm hoping these things might help you rid your mind of some of the negative things that you've been told about yourself your entire life. You may through this realize, hey, no, I haven't been jealous. I'm envious, and in a positive way. I'll joke and make it sound, joke around and make it sound like I'm extra uber overly competitive, but I'm really not. So bridging gaps between all of those things is all I'm trying to do. And if you've been told all your life certain negative things, again, I'm hoping that by going through this stuff, you'll realize, man, some of that stuff was just a bald-faced lie. I am not that kind of person. I am better than that. And then hopefully that'll help you start doing better in your life, just in general, So again, I think I've said it before on a couple, and I should probably start putting this in front. I am no psychologist or psychiatrist. I am literally just a 44-year-old man who's been through a bunch of crap, some hell, and some really fucked up shit. In my eyes. To others, my life was a cakewalk. Some, I'm the scum of the earth. Okay, great. Everybody's got their own opinions. And, but a lot of that impacted me in a positive way and a negative way. And so I have decided that by, reading up on things, not into things, reading up on things, and doing my best to just do better and better every single day than I did the day before, to just become a more humble person, and of course a successful person, and a fun person, and just I'm focusing on the negative areas in my life to turn them to a positive, and I'm focusing on the positive areas in my life to make them more positive. Again, just better and better every single day in every single way that I possibly can be. And I will be honest, I still have my down days. I still have my bad days. You know, when this funk that I got came on and my voice was sounding, all croaky and everything like that, I was like, I'm not going to be able to do a podcast. This is going to be horrible. And it got me down because I thoroughly enjoyed doing this, and I just had to start taking care of myself, whatever this crud is. And it's not COVID. Don't worry. It's not the flu, pneumonia, nothing like that. Just little sinus issues. But I just had to have some patience and give myself some grace and be like, all right, when this passes, get another episode up. You'll be fine, Eddie. You'll be fine. It was hard saying that. It was harder being like, okay, you're right. I was still like, oh man, but I want to do another one and it just won't sound right. So, again, not perfect. Just working on me and sharing some things, progress, not perfection. But on this one, because the throat is still not feeling 100%, I'm going to call this one short. I'm going to cut it short. And, if you, again, I say it all the time. If you follow me on social media and you listen to this, give me some feedback. If you follow my YouTube channel where I put up all of my my podcasts, leave a comment. If it helped you, if it opened your eyes, if you think it's horrible, I don't mind the negative comments. Because the negative comments, while some people may post them in anger, there's some good material in there for me to work on. Sift through the BS, of course, and then find out, okay, well, what did this person actually think of this? What can I change? Oh, your voice is horrible. Okay, well, I can't change that, especially not right now. Your stuff's too long. It puts me to sleep. Okay, well, so work on making some smaller ones. Just, it all just depends on what I can gather out of there for improvement, But I don't put a lot of weight in when people insult me anymore. I used to. And yes, there are days where I still do. But I started to notice, okay, or are they insulting me because they're jealous? Not everybody's jealous of Eddie. Yeah, I know that. So I've got a lot of thinking to do. How do I take what is being said to me when it's negative, find the positive, and still continue to grow? So, I understand this one had very little direction, but I hope that you guys were able to pick some little nuggets out of this one that help you out. But with that being said, thank you all very much for tuning in, and hopefully y'all stick around for another episode or two. Much love, y'all. And on that note, that's a wrap. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you enjoyed this and you want to continue to support the page, please click follow or subscribe or whatever the platform you're listening on says. Feel free to share this to other people that might find it entertaining or, heck, educational, I dare say. But, if you also want to continue to find other ways to support me and the podcast, you can head on over to my Beacons link. That's beacons.ai/Eddie Bowers. I also have a Patreon page. If you go over to patreon.com, just type in chat with me, and that'll take you to the page. There are a few different membership programs there. Do not feel obligated. Of course, I'd appreciate it. But you can just follow it there as well and see some updates. I do things that are just to the public, as well as some special things for members there. Every little bit counts. Every little bit helps. But the biggest thing is just you guys listening and finding me on social media and interacting with me. So again, I appreciate each and every one of you. Much love, and have an amazing morning, afternoon, day, evening, whatever time it is that you are listening to this. I appreciate you. Have an amazing day. And remember, you're worth it.